So, Caren, really fantastic to have you joining me today to discuss sustainability in the aviation field. I know from our conversations and from what you can really see in the media as well that sustainability is really core to what Wisk does as a business. So I'm looking forward to hearing your insights.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Aaron. I appreciate you inviting me here today.
It's a pleasure. So I guess first of all, Caren, it would be great to hear what some of the game-changing opportunities are across sustainability in aviation, and whether you see those changes or opportunities as regional or global.
Sure. So through the development of urban air mobility, so we call it UAM, companies like Wisk have the opportunity to not only create an industry that has the potential to fundamentally change everyday life, but to do so in a way that's environmentally responsible. So this type of opportunity hasn't been seen since the beginning of aviation itself, and echoes that which we're seeing with land-based automobiles. It's important to understand that due to the nascency of UAM and the creation of an entirely new industry, companies like Wisk were looking at every aspect of the industry through the lens of sustainability. And so to put this into context, a few ways in which we're doing this include today's operations. So at Wisk, we're conscious of our carbon footprint and environmental impact even before we launch services. For example, we responsibly recycle battery packs for our current aircraft to ensure that they have minimal impact on the environment. Infrastructure. So the launch of this new industry is going to require development of new infrastructure or repurposing of already existing infrastructure to allow passenger hubs. So this development is being looked at from multiple angles, from sustainable real estate development and building practices to energy grid improvements to ensuring that power and electricity is sourced renewably. In concert with that, and central to sustainability, we're a strong proponent of infrastructure standards that minimize footprint and maximize utility to consumers. And then lastly, I'd point out the aircraft. So Wisk is adopting a life cycle engineering practice that ensures that we're using products and materials in the aircraft itself that can be recycled or safely disposed of without having a negative environmental impact. Almost every OEM is developing an eVTOL aircraft, and eVTOL is electric vertical takeoff and landing. And this means that almost all air taxis are going to be completely electric. And so this is also a fundamental value proposition that's core to this industry. And interestingly enough, this is not just a US or region specific phenomenon. UAM is an industry that's developing globally. And these environmentally conscious approaches are really being considered almost unanimously across the world. It really is an exciting time for the transformation of aviation.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And it's great to hear that Wisk is kind of looking at every aspect of the business through the lens of sustainability. And that provides for a lot of opportunity, I think. Yeah. So as you innovate in this space, what have you observed to be critical pivots for or against the development and wide-scale usage of sustainable ways of flying?
For urban air mobility, again, UAM, we're seeing very little resistance to the industry's environmentally conscious approach. The challenges come with certification of not just a new type of aircraft, but a new type of aircraft that's entirely electric. However, we found that the FAA, so the Federal Aviation Administration, and other global regulators have very much embraced this concept and are working together with OEMs like Wisk to ensure that this vision of an all-electric future becomes a reality. More broadly, the growth of the electric vehicle market is actually helping to drive consumer acceptance. Proposed mandates for emission-free vehicles, like the one in California for an all-new passenger cars and trucks sold in California to be emission-free by 2035, that aligns exactly with what the UAM industry is trying to achieve.
Excellent. And it's fantastic to hear that you are getting the support of key organizations such as the FAA in developing the technology and bringing that to market. So, and you mentioned the California mandate on emission-free vehicles. With that in mind, how is Wisk responding to the evolving regulatory and consumer values around sustainability?
Yeah, I think UAM is really unique in that, again, this is an entirely new industry. So we're starting from a place of really prioritizing ESG, environmental, social, and corporate governance, at the outset of our operations. For us as an industry to succeed, we have to ensure that consumers and regulators are on board and that we're building a service that adds value while having a minimal impact on the environment. And so to ensure this, Wisk has really taken a hands-on approach by working closely with federal, state, and local regulators to ensure that we're not responding to, but rather driving and aligning with the push towards sustainability. Additionally, Wisk is one of the few UAM companies that's been engaging directly with local communities in which we intend to operate. Through this engagement, we've been really transparent about what we envision for our services, while at the same time we're listening to what local communities have to say about the perceived impact on their day-to-day life. This feedback doesn't just go into a box and get put on a shelf. We're actively incorporating the feedback into our concept of operations and planning. And actually at Wisk, we recently published 2 white papers around these topics. So we have a consumer research white paper, and we also have a social acceptance white paper. Both of those can be found on our website, which is Wisk, W-I-S-K, .aero, A-E-R-O. So, we really haven't seen a shift in focus due to the pandemic, which is great because the industry really does seem to remain committed to a long-term view of having an environmentally conscious approach.
Excellent. It's really good to hear that you're being so proactive as a business about engaging with the public and public opinion and acceptance of the technology, because that is key. I think for any of us, there's always a initial hesitancy with any new technology, and so starting to understand and become comfortable and familiar with it is so critical on that journey to making it successful, I think.
Yeah.
And on that, I mean, if you having taken feedback from the market and engaged some of that, what do you think are the most important behavioral changes that organizations and consumers will need to implement?
Aaron, that's a really interesting question. Again, because our industry is entirely new and being built with environmental consciousness at its core, the behavioral changes we see coming for consumers is really just centered around the way in which we're going to be moving, right? We're shifting from ground-based transportation to air-based day-to-day transportation. And that's a big leap for some people. However, we really believe that this behavioral change will be embraced because of the time saving and value add that it will bring for consumers. Our mission is to make safe, all-electric, everyday flight a reality for everyone, so that each person can spend less time getting there and more time being there. We truly believe that this is something with which everyone will be on board.
Absolutely, it makes sense. I mean, aren't we all looking to get to places faster, more efficiently, and also do so while trying to be as sustainable and environmentally conscious as possible? So yeah, that really makes sense. Look, Caren, it's been a real pleasure hearing your perspective today. I think Wisk is operating a great intersection of kind of the aviation industry and its path towards a more sustainable future, and people wanting to travel faster and get to places easier. So it's great hearing your insights on all of this, and I really look forward to watching and following how Wisk progresses in this space. Yeah,
it's going to be an exciting journey, so I'm looking forward to it as well. And thank you so much, Aaron, for inviting me on today to talk to you about this.
My pleasure. Really nice having you on today, Caren.